Three, two, one. How's it going, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. Here is today's comic, The Batman's Grave. Issue 1 of 12. Aren't you excited? Look, it's a new Batman comic. DC, if there's one thing DC doesn't have, it's enough Batman comics, right? Am I right? Oh my goodness. Look. I was being sarcastic there. If the one thing DC has too many of, it's Batman comics. And I don't know what it is with modern comics publishers today and their idea to just milk something until it's dead. You know, the idea of having a dairy cow so you can milk it and feed your family, you know, or whatever, sell the milk, but you treat it well so you can get the most milk out of it over time. You don't milk the cow and then take it to the butcher the next day. And then it's like, okay, great. You got the milk and you got the beef, but then you got nothing tomorrow. And that's what DC and for their part Marvel really seem to be doing. It's like, oh, people like Batman? Oh, well, let's milk it and then let's butcher it and sell the meat of and it just, you get to the point then when everyone's regurgitating Batman, no one wants Batman anymore, and then what? Then what's their best-selling title? Batman used to be the only comic in the industry that sold over 100,000 units. That's crazy. And now it's getting down to, you know, maybe it'll get down to the 50s. I don't think it'll get down to the 50s. But the sales are diving. It's gotten to the point where DC had to pull Tom King early. He wanted to do 100 issues. They're pulling him at 85. They just can't admit defeat. They just, normal people, they look and go, oh, this isn't working. Let's adjust. Let's fix things. But DC, they just go, oh, this isn't working? Step on the gas. It's probably just because we're not doing it hard enough. Oh, man. Let's take a look. Oh, Swamp Kid. Aren't you excited? Don't you want to read about Swamp Kid? Said no one. We open up at Wayne Manor, and we see Alfred walking the grounds with his little basket. How cute. Alfred Pennyworth walks out here once a week, rain or shine, to perform his duty of care. He tended them in life and will continue to tend them in death. And we see the graves of Batman's parents. Now, this seems a little weird to me that there's just these little simple graves and these billionaires just have this little simple grave. I would expect them to have some sort of mausoleum or something. Different writers and artists do different things. It's one of those things in the Batman world, depending on whose vision it is. It's also weird, though, that there's a grave for Bruce. They loved this house and wanted to rest here when life was done. They planted the copse and laid aside the money. Not that they imagined life would end so soon. They loved their boy and wanted to rest with him. And so his grave and stone were prepared at the same time. That's morbid. Alfred has always known that before he goes, he will see the hole under the third grave slab be filled. That's also morbid. Who makes a gravestone for their kid? Like, that's weird to me. Like, so you actually have a grave all prepared. Chapter 1. Here's the credits. Writer Warren Ellis, pencils Brian Hitch, inks Kevin Nolan. And then a bunch of other people that we don't care about. And then we cut open to Batman looking over the city. Now, the first thing that I'm going to notice is the desaturated colors. I don't like this. I don't know if this is a Brian Hitch thing because it had these same desaturated colors on Hawkman. Not quite noticeable to this extent, though. Who's the colorist? See, we do care about the colors. Alex Sinclair. I think that might be the same colors that was on Hawkman. I don't like this. This is a trend in modern comics. It's very postmodern, and sometimes desaturation works, I believe, when you use it appropriately. But when you just blanket use it, it's more of a sign of I'm trying to be modern and post-millennial, and it reeks of a lot of the bad things in comics that I can't stand. Then we turn to this page and I'm like, oh, this is kind of bright and colorful. This is interesting, but it's nighttime and you're in the city. This kind of threw me off. And then, of course, we get a gay couple walking down the street with their kid. They're obviously adopted kid because she's blonde and they're ethnic, and it just, the stereotypes just makes me, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh God, why? I don't know what we were thinking. Kevin, come on. She likes music and she likes pretty lights. She likes motion. And one of us said, this movie's got a clown on the poster. We'll take the baby to see that one. And then the clown ate a kid's face. Like she's gonna know what's happening. The screaming, John, the screaming. Tell us some more about the screaming. I don't know if we have time for the screaming. Yeah, time's ticking away. Life's unfair. Like Officer John Nguyen of the GCPD with his personal concealed carry piece under the baby sling. So, of course, this whole page is utter stereotype, just tripe. It's exactly what you'd expect. The villains are white, shaved skinheads with something tattooed on their head. It might as well be a Nazi symbol. And of course, the gay couple has a kid, the two dads. Of course, they're ethnic because they got to be diverse. Everything hits every checkbox here. And immediately, too, like we go from the brights and back into the desaturation. And look, I get that there's homosexuals in the world. We get it. We get it, Marvel and DC. We get it. Do you have to just constantly throw it in people's faces all the time, over and over? It's to the point where I don't even know if there's or heterosexuals in the world. Because it seems like when there's heterosexuals, you just don't talk about it. When it's homosexuals, you have to be, look, they're homosexual. See, they're gay, there's gay people. You have to draw like a neon sign and point at it. And it just becomes weird. If you did the same thing with heterosexuals, that would be weird too. I don't know. I'm making too much of a big thing out of this. Maybe this is my own subjective thing because I just see it so much in comics, and so I'm projecting now. I don't know, but it just, like I said, it didn't ruin the book. It just felt unnecessary, and it just felt like, oh, it made me groan and roll my eyes. I'm really surprised though that the villains here didn't make some sort of gay slur. Which, so credit. There's one checkbox that was unchecked for this page, where the criminals, didn't say. I guess you can't say a gay slur, so maybe that's a problem. Maybe the progressives have one, so that would be offensive. I don't know. Let's move on. So these idiot criminals are pointing at this guy's face, like inches away from his face, which is something you should never do if you're holding someone at gunpoint. We scorn your badge. We scorn your control. We scorn your life. Who are these guys? And then Batman just shows up. Dun, 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 it's Batman. And he beats the crap out of him. Boom, boom, bam. Look, breaks his knee over here. Look at that. Crack. That hurts. And kicks him in the face. We get some cool action of, some gratuitous violence. Officer Nguyen, Mr. Nguyen. Were you following us? Just passing by. Perhaps you'll call an ambulance. Have a good evening. And just like that, Batman swings away. Almost said flies away. And then Batman's driving home. And so far, it's just this normal Just day in the life of Gotham. Batman beating up skinheads, harassing gay cops. I don't know. And then he gets a call from Alfred and says that there's something, because Batman's on his way back, and Alfred says, you need to check this out. So Batman shows up at this apartment complex, talks to the neighbors. They basically say, we noticed this odd smell in the next door, blah, blah. Okay, so we know it's a dead body. And they give some information about what they know about their neighbor. And then Batman says, I'll take a look. So Batman investigates, and we see a guy lying dead on the bed. He's obviously obsessed with Batman. You can see the stuff on the wall. And then Batman pulls out his smartphone and scans the room, which will make sense in a few minutes. He talks over the scene and becomes, a crime scene investigator at this point. And this is where the book becomes like CSI. And that's interesting. Some people like Batman as the detective, and this is very much Batman detective story. So Batman drives home. I always thought this is weird. You could see he's driving home along the bay, goes along, and then there's a road that literally goes into a cave. That's the Batcave. Really? No one ever just goes in there? I guess the danger sign keeps everyone out. That seems weird. In the 60s, that probably would have made sense. But today, I don't know. It seems like someone would find their way in there. But Batman shows up, sees Alfred on the couch, drinking some, looks like some whiskey. I was about to say wine, but then I saw it's Macallum. What are you listening to? Peter Warlock, British classical composer. Bit of a black magician. Bit of a black magician. Used to ride around in the countryside, stark naked on a motorcycle. And you're drinking? You should have one, Master Bruce. It makes you sleep easier. Makes me sleep easier. What's bothering you, Alfred? Me, you, us. These long nights. I'll tell you what's bothering me. Some nights all I see is an old soldier helping a very rich man leave his mansion at night in his expensive car to visit horrible beatings upon poor people. That's not what we do, Alfred. Isn't it? It might have been easier for you to buy Gotham City. Instead, you scratch away at it every night, impoverished people forced into crime or suborned by gangsters with not 1/100th of your own resources. Oh, God. Are you kidding me? After all these years of Bruce Wayne fighting crime stuff, Alfred is an SJW. He's just kind of coming clean. All these poor victims that you go out and beat every night, Bruce. They're impoverished. They don't have your white entitlement. That's what he should be saying. It's just, God. Bruce responds, they have choices. It'd be easier to just kill them all. What, Alfred? What? I'm a soldier. When I was serving, I fought for my life and for my values. It's not murder. It's self-defense. What? What? First of all, most soldiers don't fight. Well, they might fight for their life when they're on the battlefield, but they're not fighting for their values. They're fighting because their country tells them to, right? And in the United States, we have an all-volunteer army. Alfred's from UK. I'm not sure. It's similar. But if you're fighting, if you join the military, you're fighting because you believe it's okay to murder certain people. It's like, especially I guess Alfred's old, it's not modern, but I was saying in a modern sense, it's especially what it is. We don't fight to defend our country anymore. We fight to go over other people's countries and change their way of life. Modern war is very much murder, except for maybe in some third world countries where they do have to fight to defend their lives. But in Western society, we fight for oil, we fight for land, we fight for political gains, and colonialism. There's so many reasons that we fight, and all of it is to murder people who stand in the way of our gain. Anyways, enough with the politics there. I'm not trying to disparage soldiers. I do believe actually anyone who's in the military and has served, I have a high regard for. You put your life on the line. When you sign the paper, the dotted line, you're saying, I'm willing to give my life essentially for my country. And I believe that is something that very few people can do. And the ones that actually go over and serve and do it as well, even further respect. It's just, let's not sugarcoat things, okay? And I'm not saying people who serve are murderers. I'm saying that they believe that lethal violence is an acceptable thing for the right reasons. They're not Batman, right? Batman is like making the argument here, I don't kill, Soldiers, they're not those. Otherwise you wouldn't be a soldier. So he's like, I got to go to work. I don't have time for this SJW nonsense, Alfred. Here we go again. Can't you just get into the head of the killer? Like those detectives on television. Seems much easier. I can't think like a killer, Alfred. I can only think like a victim. What? That sounded bad. You immerse yourself in the dead, Master Bruce, and you come back each time a little less alive. The only thing your grave is missing is a date. All right, so beyond that sense, now back to Batman. Batman goes into his super tech cave, scans his phone into the dock thing. I don't know what that is, and instantly gets a 3D holographic sort of representation of the room and starts going over the deceased, and we get very much something out of CSI with the miracle technology to help solve the crime. That's another trope that I can't stand these cop shows. But and he starts going over and trying to get in the head of the victim and, figure out what happened. So a lot of this is boring to describe. He's just walking the room and he's talking out loud about what's going on or what he believes happened. He's kind of reenacting. You've seen this trope a lot where, the detective will show up at the crime scene and start, and then the killer got mad and da-da-da, So he's doing that. And he's kind of coming up with some revelations. And he comes back out. Alfred, I have to. Oh, how long was I thinking? So Alfred went to bed. And, hey, look, that's funny. Let's see, he was there a long time. So he drives back. It's morning. The dawn's coming up. And Bruce shows up at the crime scene. Police do not cross. And, of course, Batman just blasts through the door. I thought this was a little weird. It's like, couldn't you sneak in through the fire escape? Why would you... This seems a little bit... Why... Can you just unlock the door? Why are you busting it down? I don't know. It just seemed really out of place. And so Batman's like, you were my friend. You didn't take anything. So during the investigation, Batman was believing it was a friend who did it. You didn't take anything except my life. So he lifts up the bed. And I know why. You couldn't take the bed you sat on. You couldn't take the feeling with you. Everything you wanted was still in the fabric of this room and the smell of another person, the echo of their voice. Why would you look under the floorboards? Or why would anyone look under the floorboards? Sorry, I'm terrible at reading. And then we get the face of apparently the killer, who looks like a total freak show. Just, I was lonely. To be continued. And, oh God, let's go back. And that's it. So all in all, not a terrible issue. Not a particularly good issue. You can see there was a couple cringe pages that I was like, what? I don't know if this guy here on the cover or in the cover on this page is a Batman villain, is a rogue. If you know, put that in the comments. It could be. Batman's got so many rogues, I don't know them all. Or he's just some new guy. Here's what I was thinking before I read this book. Tom King is getting off of Batman. And we don't need more Batman books. So we got Warren Ellis, is, pretty famous as far as comic book writers go. He's a pretty big name of comics writers. You got Brian Hitch, also a solid name in the comics industry as an illustrator. Why are we doing this 12-issue miniseries? We just Tom King exits Batman, and issue 86 is this issue. And then you just go for 12 issues of Batman, 2 arcs of Ellis and Brian Hitch. And if it takes off on the first arc, you renew these guys to do more Batman. And if it doesn't, you end it after those 12 issues and put on a different team. And just go with that. Why do we need a separate Batman miniseries? I am tired of so many miniseries. I don't want to buy miniseries. I want to be able to just get my Batman and go to the store, buy Batman. It continues the numbering, and I just get it every month. That's another thing. I don't want it every 2 weeks. I want it every month. Get my Batman issue and have the stories go. The problem with miniseries is that they're too easy to get overwhelmed by. By that I mean you go to the store and you're like, oh look, for instance, Batman's Grave is out, #1. I want to check this out. So I buy. It's only 12 issues. It's a miniseries. I'm just going to buy this, and it's a short-term commitment. So I buy it. And then a couple months later, another miniseries that I'm interested in comes out. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll buy that. And then a month later, another miniseries comes out. So next thing I know, I've got like 5 miniseries that I'm on to, and my pull list is inflated, and I'm way over budget, and my wallet is burning, and I'm feeling the stress of my comic budget, and I'm just like, I'm spending way too much on comics, and it creates a negative feeling, and I don't want to buy comics anymore. When it's a regular issue, when it's just, here's Batman number 500, 501, 52, whatever, I can buy that, I can budget it, I know it comes out monthly, and I just have a normal bill. And it's easy to maintain what I want to do. And if a new series comes out, it's a commitment, and I think, okay, do I want to do this? Do I want to drop another series that I'm into? I don't drop miniseries because I know they're going to end. I'm not going to drop Last Night on Earth. Well, I wouldn't anyway because it's amazing. But there's another issue to come out. I'm not going to drop Doomsday Clock. I'm not going to drop Martian Manhunter that I'm reading right now. Or what's the other miniseries? The Freedom Fighters. Curse of the White Knight. There's several miniseries that I'm reading right now that I'm like wanting to end so it frees up my budget. But even the really good ones, it's just because you're just like, I need this to end so I can stop paying. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This really drives me nuts. But now that I've read this book, part of me is kind of glad this is a miniseries because this did not interest me. This is probably better than the Tom King slog, but it's not that much better. It was kind of boring, and maybe this will pick up. This is only the first issue. So we got a crime, murder mysteries and things like that. They build. I don't know. It didn't hook me. It's okay. This is an okay book. I'll kind of wait and see how it goes, and maybe 3 or 4 issues down the road, someone will come back to me and like, oh, Ash, man, this book really started getting good. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I do know that my pull list is already about half a dozen comics too many. I'm really feeling I'm feeling it. So I'm not going to pick this up. I'm not going to recommend anyone pick it up. It was marginally okay. And too many. And another thing, all those groans that I made as I was talking about the book, that I probably wouldn't be groaning so much if I was in a position where I could afford more books, or the comic industry was healthier, and I was just like, oh, I'm looking for more stuff to get. But because I'm feeling all that stress on the budget, it makes me tolerate less what I'm seeing in the book, if that makes sense. So hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully some curiosity about this book was satisfied for you. It was for me, and I now have no more desire to continue on. If you read it and you have a different feeling or different take on the book, by all means, let me know. If you have information that I missed, or if I got something wrong, by all means, correct me. I learned so much from you guys when you go in the comments and be like, oh, Ash, this was that, and blah, 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 blah. I love all that stuff. So thanks very much for making it this far and watching. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for everyone who supports the channel. I appreciate all your views, and I'll see you next time. Bye.